Hello, and welcome to Lesson 5 of Cup of Java, JavaFX. Today, Angelina and I will be going over different input methods and ways to read user input in JavaFX. So first, let's start off with the basic text input. There are two main ways to get text input in JavaFX. There's a text field and a text area. Functionally, they're very similar, but text fields are single line and text area is multi-line. In the example on the right, you can see that we have a name field and a bio field. And the name field is one line, so you can see it automatically fits to one line, and we can't do anything pressing enter or anything like that. However, with the bio field, that's a text area, not a text field, you can see we can have multiple lines and format the text to our liking. And functionally, both of these work with getText and setText in order to manipulate them. So the user can type in them by default, but you can set a default value either on creation in the constructor or using the setText function, and you can get the text with the getText function. So you see in this little program we have a second window which, when the button update profile is clicked, it sets the text in the second profile window to contain the information in both fields. So another way you can get user input is buttons, and we've already gone over buttons in previous lessons, but now we're going to go over button groups. So toggle buttons allow for you to select and deselect a button, not just when it's clicked, but also when it's selected. Radio buttons are kind of the circular fill-in bubbles that you see, and they cannot be unselected, at least alone. So you can use isSelected for both of them to see whether they're selected, and if they're in a toggle group, then only one can be selected at a time. Toggle groups allow these selectable buttons to be grouped together. So we can get it by creating either a toggle button or a radio button, depending on what the toggle group's made out of. And then we use togglegroup.getSelectedToggle, and we have to cast that value as either a toggle button or a radio button. That's what those parentheses are. And so checkboxes don't really fit into toggle groups, but they can be selected, unselected, or unknown. So that's the indeterminate. It'll appear as a little dash, and you can use that to do 3 states instead of 2. So you can see in the top right, we have something that you might see on a test, where we have radio buttons, A, B, C, and D, and once you click, you can't unclick. So once you select an answer, there will always be an answer in the radio button field. You can select maybe from B to C or C to A, but you can't have nothing. While in the bottom, you can see we have a bunch of checkboxes, which can be individually set or unset, and then we have sides, which can be set only one at a time, but can also be unset. Well, size, once you set it, you cannot unset. So you'll see here, if we run that, you can see we have cheese, we can select all the different toppings that we like. Sides, we can either select onions or fries, but we cannot select both. We can unselect it to have no side. And size, we can only select one, and we can't unselect that. And so, what if, let's say, cheese, we wanted to have, let's say, normal cheese, extra cheese, or no cheese? What we could do is we could set cheese, we could set allow indeterminate to be true, and that means that there's allowing a third state in the checkbox. So now, what we could do is check cheese as no cheese, yes cheese, or I guess normal cheese, or whichever way you want to do it. And so that can allow your checkboxes to have more variety and add more functionality to it. For the next input method, we have sliders. Sliders have a bar and then your cursor and allow you to move the cursor left and right to have different values. So when creating a slider, you must set its minimum value, its maximum value, and its initial value. And you can get the value that the user sets with getValue. So you can also set different tick marks and tick lengths, both aesthetically and for functionality. So we can set a major tick, which is kind of a big marking, and minor ticks, which are little markings. So we can have big markings, little markings in between, like a ruler. And so we set the major ticks by how long each unit is, how each tick unit is. So it can be 1 unit, it can be 10 units, 8 units. And then we set how many minor ticks are contained in between, and they'll be automatically spaced between. And so we can set whether the slider will snap to the ticks, meaning that the only possible values of the slider are the major and minor ticks. We can also set if we want to show the tick marks themselves, or just the labels, or both. So you can see in this example, we have a percentage slider going from 0 to 100 that we can put any value in between, although for display purposes, I made it only show the first 2 decimal points. Well, the second slider is a rating slider where we can select from 0 to 10 in multiples of 1. So we can't select any non-1 answers. So it has to be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. all the way up to 10. So you can see this in action. And we also made the percentage show the value in real time through updating it whenever the mouse is dragged all over the slider. So you can see that we can take it all the way up to 100, all the way down to 0, and here you can slide it at any, like, try to do 4.5, it'll snap to 5. And these sliders also will try to match the size of whatever, as much space as they can. So you can see we try to set a bit over 6, and not really working. But let's say we were to change the set minor tick count to, let's say, 1. So we wanted to, let's say, you could do 4.5. Well, now you can see that we have these halfway tick marks. So we can set them to that, and now we can do half ratings, and so on and so forth. So next we also have color pickers. So color pickers are handled mostly by JavaFX itself. All this UI is, you don't have to make yourself, JavaFX does it for you. So it has a window, it has what current color it has. You click on the window and you get to this drop down menu with some preset colors. So the top row are named colors and the bottom row are just common shades, as you'll see in a lot of applications. And you can use a custom color to use a color wheel, or I guess a color band. You can use in hue, saturation, brightness, red, green, blue, and other stuff, also opacity. And you can get the value that the user selects with get value.
All right, hello. Today we're talking about JavaFX, specifically the date picker. And the date picker is basically something that's already a part of JavaFX, and it allows you to select the date from a pop-up calendar that is already built into JavaFX. And or you can also type the text manually in the text field. And the way you implement it is by doing so you call the class date picker D, and then you do new date picker, and then this is a special instance where you write the date that you want it to display. But of course, if you put null inside the parentheses, which is like nothing, nothing would happen. There would be no specific date. Also, important to know, anything that is included in the JavaFX package, you do have to implement it. It's the thing on top where you do import blah blah blah, import date picker. This in this instance. Next is menus. So menus is a pop-up menu that contains several menu items that are displayed when the user clicks on the menu. Um, so the way you implement that is, for example, it'd be menu M, new menu, and we called it menu. Yeah, it creates a new menu with the name menu. And see right here, this is what it would look like in JavaFX. You can change the size of it, but this is just the default. See, it's called menu up top. And when you want to add a menu item onto it, as you can see, there's 3 menu items here. You have to first create the menu item. This is also something that's already included in the package. You just have to write menu item, like the name M1 equals new menu item, and then this is the text that it displays. So right here it says menu item 1. And then to add it onto like the first instance of the menu is you have to do get items first, because menu is a lot of things. So you get items and then you add M1, because M is not just the menu, it's, it adds the menu item. So the next thing is displaying user input. And so this is a little bit complicated, but the simplest way that I thought would be the easiest way to teach this is using text files. So I thought it'd be the easiest way to have user input the file into a text file and then output it into another text file. Of course, you can also just do a print of the whatever on the file, but the way you access user inputs, though, I think that's the key part of the lesson, right? But the main part that you access user input through text fields is through this thing that's text field dot get text. That's just all you have to know. But other ways, just a little reminder on how to create a text field in the first place. You do text field, which is something that's already created in JavaFX, of course, and the new text field. And this is with a null. Of course, if you write something here, it will already show up in this text field, and you can always like change whether it can be edited or not. And then let's just say there's another text field called output. The way you would set that text to whatever is in this text would be text field get text. So let's say in the first text there's blank first, right? But the user inputs like hello world. you can have like a little button that's that's like when this button is pressed, when this event happens, the next output text field would be changed into hello world or something else, you know? And the final thing about this slideshow is accessing files. Fortunately, accessing files is already something that comes with JavaFX. It's called the Java FX file chooser class, and it is used to invoke a file open dialogues for selecting files. There's a lot of ways that this happens. You can choose a specific file. You can choose a specific file, the name of the file. But I'm just doing the very basics today, so the way you would create this file chooser is first you have to import it, of course, but otherwise you just do file chooser name it. I named it fill chooser. Is equal to new file chooser, and it just creates the file chooser. And then let's just say you want to have a file, you would do like you would open. This is this is the way you open it, and this is what it looks like. By the way, like this is what I'm talking about. The file chooser. You can open this from JavaFX, and you would do the you would choose the file chooser, like the name of the file chooser, and the show open dialog window, which is the window that you can choose files from your computer. So thank you for listening to the JavaFX class. Have a great day.